So you mean to say that if somebody is feeling stuck in their career, or they are feeling that, okay, they do not understand the path ahead, you are able to translate that for them in some way? So at Luxury Unplugged, we are discussing everything that blends luxury with spirituality.
And then when I was in my 20s, I had a very profound spiritual experience. But it's really just a beautiful way of living. You're much more positive, your vibration is higher. You just have that like need to help other people as well. And it also gets you to look at things in terms of, like, let's say something negative happens to you. Instead of looking at it as, why is this happening to me? You look at it in terms of, what is this trying to teach me? What am I going to learn from this? How is
If
this
you are
going to...
passionate about entrepreneurship, creativity, and maintaining a sane mind, you found your tribe. And at Luxury Unplugged, we are dedicating ourselves to exploring the world of luxury living with a sane mind. Maybe extravagant experiences also, but with hidden gems of making that life truly exceptional. I'm Neeti Keswani, author of best-selling book Live Your Dreams, and your host for Luxury Unplugged. And every week on Tuesdays, we are bringing you incredible stories of successful entrepreneurs and artists and coaches and their life full of luxuries, their tryst with spirituality, and how they are helping uh, their followers, their tribe, to manage a mind, a mindset that helps them to become CEOs, probably, or something that they truly value in life. So today we have with us Brandy Van. She is a psychic medium mentor, and she is living in Philadelphia with her husband, and she has 3 dogs. And she feels that her purpose in life is to help others on their spiritual and psychic journeys. She presents workshops on how to develop psychic abilities. We are looking forward to having an interesting conversation with Brandy. So, Brandy, over to you. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, thanks so much. Sure. So, as you said, I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I actually grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I've lived here for about 20 years.
Mhm.
And basically, how I got on my journey of spirituality was, from a very young age, I knew I was seeing things and hearing things that other people weren't, but I really tended to keep it to myself because I was afraid that people might think I was crazy or making things up. So I was really afraid to tell people. And then when I was in my 20s, I had a very profound spiritual experience. My grandma was taking her last breath in her hospice room. My family and I were all around her holding hands, and naturally, we're all very upset. But as she took her last breath, I literally felt her spirit rise above the bed. And when I looked above the bed, I saw the most magnificent colors, and they were forming a star, and they were beating in and out like a heartbeat. And I just knew in that moment, without even knowing how I knew, I just knew that she was at peace, that she was going on to a new transition. So I knew that death wasn't final. So really, everything changed for me in that moment, because I had been, I wasn't a very religious person, and I didn't really have any beliefs about the afterlife. But in that moment, everything changed for me. And that really got me on my path to developing my spirituality and my psychic gifts.
So, when you talk about being the psychic medium mentor, how do you explain that? What do you really help people with? Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, so unfortunately, in our society, it's still so taboo and a lot of people don't talk about it. So I want everyone to just come out of their spirituality closet and to talk about these things, because a lot of people have these experiences and we're all looking for those like-minded individuals. So I feel like the more people will talk about it, the more we'll be able to find our tribe, as you were saying. And the way I do it is I have a 90-day program, because I was reading like a ton of books and I was watching TV shows, but nothing was developing my ability until I found a mentor. And I only worked with her for maybe 6 hours over 6 months, and my abilities just skyrocketed. So I look back at my journey of like why was it so hard to find a mentor? There's coaches for everything in this life. Why are there not mentors or coaches for this? So yeah, I really just want to help people. And it's just a very step-by-step process. And it's the exact one that got me to be a successful medium. So I know I can help someone if they're kind of in that stuck state of, where do I start? Or I've read a ton of books and it's still not working, so that I can really get them to get on their journey to get their abilities to be developed.
So you mean to say that if somebody is feeling stuck in their career, or they're feeling that, okay, they do not understand the path ahead, you are able to translate that for them in some way?
Exactly. So, I took a lot of little classes that were like an hour here and there that would give you a couple of exercises, but I really just see those as pieces of the puzzle, and I wasn't getting all of the puzzle. And so I basically put all of that together so that someone doesn't need to take all those little classes, which is just do it a very extensive program in 90 days. And it doesn't mean they'll be magically psychic in 90 days, but they will have the access, the content for life, so that way they can keep doing these exercises until they become a psychic. So but at least it gets them all of the information they need versus taking little classes here and there and reading books. It's just one thing all together of everything that they need.
So what you said in the beginning, that having psychic abilities is a very taboo topic still in our societies, whether it is India or UK or US, anywhere in the world. People are not so vocal about it, and it's considered a little woo-woo stuff also. So I'm sorry, I'm putting it out as openly as possible, but that's the way it is. So to come out to be that, what did it take for you? What was your journey like, and what challenges did you face? And are you having those kind of students who are ready to understand that from you, in terms of, how can I help somebody just through channeling something?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients and students, they kind of were where I was. They were like, I think I have something. I don't know if I have something. I'm not sure if I can develop it. And then by the end of the 90 days, it's amazing to see their transformation. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was kind of in that frustrated, doesn't seem to be working. How can I develop this? And then once you do add spirituality to your life, it's just such a beautiful way of living. I think a lot of people have a lot of fear around it because they just don't understand it as much as they can. There's a lot of misconceptions, but it's really just a beautiful way of living. You're much more positive. Your vibration is higher. You just have that like need to help other people as well. And it also gets you to look at things in terms of, like, let's say something negative happens to you. Instead of looking at it as, why is this happening to me? You look at it in terms of, what is this trying to teach me? What am I going to learn from this? How is this going to make me stronger? So it really is a change in reality of, I was taught XYZ for so long, and now I'm changing into this, how we're all connected, how we can all help each other, how we're connected to the universe, which is just a beautiful way to live. And I feel like if more of us talk about it and we're not afraid to talk about it, then, we'll definitely have this higher consciousness happen on the planet.
Sure, sure. Very well said. And I feel that I think spirituality is the place where we can actually find ourselves. Now, the mediums could be so many, and one of them is what you are practicing. What we have spoke about so far on the channel has been related to meditation and bits of Ho'oponopono. And we have also spoken about the other aspects linked to law of attraction, but not per se literally law of attraction as well. But at the end of it, everything is concerned in making you a better person, a better version of yourself, so that you are right on the path to become and be what you wanted to be initially. And you were sort of, mingling around the way, and you were not able to find that path. So, when you say that you're talking about this 90 days thing that you do, is that a hand holding thing for like every day you're available for your students?
Yes, they have access to me all the time. So they can email me, send me a message. We have bi-weekly Q&A calls where they are also with the other students in the program to be able to ask questions. But yeah, it's absolutely like I'm their number one cheerleader. I don't want them to be stuck. And, I encourage them. I let them celebrate their wins. Yeah, and a lot of it is going through the shadow work, right? So it's overcoming those fears, those doubt in themselves. Do they need to forgive themselves for anything? Do they feel like they're self-betraying or self-sabotaging? So, the more you can heal, the better you're going to know yourself, and you'll be able to release all of that moving forward. So it's really a matter of personal discovery and growth, and just getting you, like how you said, to live your most authentic life.
True, true. So you also talk about in your website about how to release one's ego to receive messages from the spirit. So how do you go about that?
This is the hardest thing by far. It was for me, it is for all of my clients. Your ego, your rational mind has been in the driver's seat your entire life. And now you're bringing in your intuition to say, hey, I'm going to listen to my soul, to my spirit. And your mind has a problem with that because it wants you to not come out of your comfort zone. It wants you to stay where it is, very nice and protected and safe. And it also doubts you, so it's like there's no science on this, you're making this up, and it really makes you doubt yourself. So I always say that the louder your inner critic gets, it means you're that much closer to your goal. So if your inner critic is yelling at you, take that as a compliment instead of a negative, and see that as your point to just push and move ahead, move forward, because that means you're so much closer to what you're trying to achieve. But it's not an easy path for sure.
And so then how do I go ahead from going from releasing my ego to actually, channeling my inner soul to speak more to me? How do I go about doing that?
Sure. So listening to your intuition, or I don't really want to say listen. So developing your intuition as a 4-step process. So the first step is you need to ask it a question, because of course, if you don't ask a question, how will you ever get an answer? So you want to ask it a question, and you want to start with very little questions. You don't want to go in asking these huge questions, these life career changing things. So just start off small, something like, should I eat breakfast or go for a walk first? Something very small like that. Then the next step is that you want to feel the answer. So you're going to feel it somewhere in your body, whether you have a gut feeling, maybe you have a tingling or a chill in your spine. Some people get like a ringing in their ear, a tickle in their throat. You want to start to feel what that answer feels like. And you only have 4 seconds. It's very instantaneous. By that 5th second, your rational mind will start thinking and you will miss the intuition boat. So it's very important to feel for it. And it could be a hearing as well, but only in those first 4 seconds. After that, your mind is analyzing the answer and you're going with the rational mind. So that's the second step. The third step is you need to trust it, because your intuition is always going to lead you to your right path. It's your inner self, it's your guidance, your soul, your spirit telling you what it wants. And a lot of times your spirit guides can communicate with you that way as well, to give you that guidance. So even though your mind might be saying something else, your intuition is always going to lead you to the right path. And then the last step is you need to act on it, because if you don't do what your intuition says, it's not going to lead you to that higher path. And really, why did you ask it anything anyway if you're not going to act on what it says? So that's really the 4-step process. And it is a process. You need to really practice it. Either ask it a question once a day or a few times a day till you start to feel what that answer is. And then once you feel what the answer is, you'll also know when it's your intuition versus anxiety, because that's a question I get asked a lot also. And so if it's not that feeling, then it's your rational mind or your anxiety kicking in. So you really want to get used to whatever that feeling is of your intuition giving you the answer.
So I think that is really important part of your 4-step formula for getting to understand your intuition, because the feeling that comes with it is really important. Who are you really listening to? Are you listening to your rational brain, or are you listening to your gut feeling, your soul? So let's say I get this feeling that, okay, I should go for a walk and then I will come back and have a sandwich, but I don't follow it. What happens next? Do I stop hearing from the soul, or can it be still developed?
you know, it's always going to be there and you can always ask. So, but maybe it's telling you to go for the walk for a reason, you know, and maybe you don't know that reason now, and maybe you'll never know the reason, but you know, maybe it's because you'll have more energy by the end of the day, or maybe it's because maybe you'll lose a pound in a week or so. So you never know what the answer is, or you could figure it out, maybe not right in that moment, but maybe you'll start to notice you have more energy, or that your life is flowing a lot easier, because that's really its purpose, to get you to live in that way of, you know, whenever you like don't listen to it and you think, I knew I shouldn't have done that, but you did it anyway, and so you kind of regret what you did because you didn't listen to it. That's what we're trying to avoid here. We're trying to get you to really live the way that you authentically want to live, and that's the way that your spirit or your soul is trying to get you to live.
Very strangely, I was reading this book, Surrender. I don't know whether you have you know about it or not, but
Yeah.
in that also it talks about, you know, very little experiences which lead you to your intuitive abilities, and how can you master them just by following them one after another and see where they take you. And in my book too, in Live Your Dreams, I am well, I'm not talking about the intuitive abilities, but I'm talking about listening to your inner child, listening to your soul, which is similar. And Live Your Dreams, my book, it's a fictional story. It's a story of this girl who is transforming her career from being an HR person to going and becoming a fashion illustrator. So that transformation happens only when she listens to the flow that's within her intuitive abilities. Now, how does that change happen for her is what the book is all about. Serendipity. So I guess we are all circling around similar things, knowing it in some ways, and yet trying to find all the answers, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So you also on your website you're talking about, you know, discovering the psychic abilities and getting similar to what I have talked to you about on my book, Live Your Dreams, about growing into becoming that person that helps to attract that life's calling. So in nutshell, if I want to channel higher purpose or um, higher self to speak to me, can I do that? And that too very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So, your higher self, I really describe it as a feeling. And it's the feeling of complete gratitude for your life. It's whenever you can, you know, look past the challenges and the struggles that we all have and really see your cup is overflowing and see that gratitude coming through. And when you can feel that and you can live through gratitude, that's really living through your higher self, because that's when more doors will open for opportunities. That's when you feel a sense of inner peace. So you really, your higher self is that feeling of complete gratitude. That's the best way I can describe it, because, and again, that law of attraction, if you're giving out gratitude, you'll receive gratitude. If you give out love, you'll receive love. So if you're living with that higher vibration and that's the way that you're living your everyday life, more of that will come to you, and then your cup will just be overflowing even more. So that's how I describe living through your higher self.
Right, right. So, and you also talk about, you know, manifesting your goals. Now, manifesting your goals through intuition. Um, let's say I follow you and I love the work that you are doing and I want to do it intuitively, but I have a deadline. I need to get this done by a certain date. Now, can I expect my intuition to guide me in such a way that I will be directed to do it in a certain period of time?
So the way I say that is there is no deadline. It's all in divine timing. So spirit and your intuition will tell you when it's supposed to be done in divine timing. So it is hard to give it a deadline, because a spiritual path could take the rest of your life, you know, living like this or figuring out your emotions or doing that shadow work. It could be a lifetime journey. So I don't really feel like there is a deadline that you can put on it, because it's this continuous thing. It's always going on. So that question's a little bit tricky.
Mhm. But then, if I have those certain goals, I have to achieve them. And it's like, you know, sending my child, let's say, for an example, I want to send my child to a particular school, and there's no way I'm able to do that, but I have to do that by a certain timeline. So it cannot be indefinite, right?
It's that, and it's also the trust and faith that you have in it. So it's, if your intuition is saying send your child to this school, but your rational mind knows, I can't afford that, or whatever the reason might be, or I'd have to move. You also have to have the trust and the faith in it as well. So that's that borderline battle going on between the rational mind and the intuition. And, it really could be that is the best path, but your rational mind sees all the struggles in it. But maybe once you actually do and take that correct path, maybe things actually become easier. And so that's a part of that risk, that challenge, versus you having that trust and faith in it.
Right, right. So having the kind of meditations or the grounding experiences, or you're talking about protecting one's energies, all of this helps. Even lucid dreaming helps in manifesting goals faster.
Yeah, because so in your dreams, you can really, dreams is a whole nother podcast we could talk about, right? So dreams, interpreting dreams is a lot. But if you do learn to remember your dreams and to see how they're affecting your waking life, they definitely have goals in there for you to do in your waking life. It's just a lot of interpretation to see where they're trying to get you to be a better person in your day-to-day life. So yeah, dreams can absolutely help. But the grounding and all of that is more, if you're going to communicate with a spirit, your mind basically gets to the point that you're almost outside of your body, or your energy is outside of your body. So you need to ground your physical body so that you don't feel depleted and you don't feel lightheaded and dizzy. So that all comes also with protecting your energy, because and you have to do everything in a very safe and structured way, because you don't know what energy could be coming into your energy field unless you protect your energy. So protecting your energy is very important so that negative energies don't come in and you keep that positive vibe up. But to me, meditation is really just that first step. To develop your abilities, it's really visualizations. And so you need to visualize to work out your psychic muscle, that imagination muscle, and that's what's going to develop your psychic abilities. And even though I'm using the word visualization, which means to see, you have to figure out which one of your physical senses is best for you. So, when you hear the word visualization technique, it could mean that you're seeing something in your mind's eye, but it could also mean that you're feeling it, or you're sensing it, you're knowing it, you're hearing it. So you really want to figure out which sense is best for you, because that's the easiest way that spirit can communicate with you.
Right. So you said so many things in that, and all of them are very, very effective and impressive. But I am just intrigued by the fact that, okay, let's say I'm very intuitively guided, and I am feeling that flow in me. But at the same time, something negative comes in, which means I did not protect my energies, or is that my own inner thoughts that have played out? How do I differentiate between this energy that's coming in? Is it coming from outside, or is it my own negative thought process that's showing up?
Sure. So, and it could be both, right? Or it could be either. So that's something that once you really start to get that mind body connection, that you'll be able to interpret whether it's you or someone else. But, like empaths, they can leave their house and they feel everyone's energy. And it's very hard for them because it's almost like an emotional roller coaster, and they don't know which emotion is theirs and which is someone else's. So it's very hard. So you do want to protect your energy and put yourself into a bubble of white light so that negative energies can't come in. But the best thing to do, whether it's your negative energy or an outside negative energy, is once you get home and you're in your sacred space, is to to restore that energy. So whether it's hydrate, whether it's take a nap, whatever it is that you need to restore that energy to get back on your positive path to release that negative energy, is the best way to go about it.
Right, right. So it is a process that you do before entering a different space and after you have come back from that space.
Exactly.
So it's a two-way thing,
Yes.
right? And
Yep.
I'm asking you more questions so that my uh, viewers are able to understand it better. About what we are talking is not just woo-woo stuff, it is something which is happening in our day-to-day lives, and perhaps we are aware of them on a very whimsical level, But if we are very much aware in the moment, then we are able to be consciously developing our life towards whatever we are wanting to go towards. So on another note, you have also mentioned about, helping people who are grieving about their deceased loved ones. How do you go about doing that?
Sure. So all psychics have the ability for extrasensory perception. So they all have their five physical senses, but then they're also able to work with their sixth sense or their intuition. And so we all have psychic abilities because we all have that sixth sense of our intuition. But not all psychics are mediums. So a medium is someone who is able to talk to a deceased loved one or a dead person, but that's just a gift that's given, that someone has. You can't teach someone how to become a medium. So a psychic might be able to talk to spirit guides or angels or ascended masters, but they might not be able to talk to a deceased loved one. So my specialty of my psychic ability is communicating with the dead. So I am able to give messages to deceased loved ones or for deceased loved ones. And it really does, it's a very healing, comforting process for people that are grieving, because I basically create a new memory of that person with them, which can be very rewarding for me. And it's very emotional for the person receiving that reading, but and it takes a long time. Actually, it could take a few weeks to really process what happened there. But if they need any closure, or if they're just missing their loved one, it really gives them that way of thinking, hey, this person's still with me. They're just with me in a different way. They're not with me in the physical sense, but their energy is still there, because we are all made of energy. We're just in this physical body. So when they leave that physical body, they are still here with us. And I think that's very comforting for people to know.
I mean, I think that's an amazing, commendable work that you are doing. But as a psychic, is it really hard on you to come in and out of that energy, that sort of thing that comes up in that particular moment?
I really not, because I turn my consciousness off so that the consciousness of a deceased loved one can come in. So, like, for instance, I did a reading last night and I sort of remember it now, but by tomorrow I'll have completely forgot it. So I always tell people that when I give a reading, if they come to me 2 weeks later and say, do you remember when you said this? No, I don't, because it really wasn't me saying it. It was their loved one saying it, and they were just using me as a channel. So it's really not my experience. So it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I usually don't remember the reading at all after a few days.
I think that's a boon for you, because if you do, it could be very crazy for you, isn't it?
Yes.
If you remember all interactions, wow.
Yes.
Wow. So, any tips on the self-improvement aspect that you would like to let our listeners and our viewers understand in terms of the psychic abilities, or intuitively guiding ourselves towards our goals, towards our passions?
Yeah, sure. So, I think the first step is really knowing what psychic experiences are. If you don't know what they are, you don't know what to look out for in your life. And so you might be skeptical about it. So, if I could let your audience know, if they go to my website, brandyvan.com, I do have a free PDF they can sign up for that goes through a lot of psychic experiences. So, for example, if they've ever had deja vu, little things like that that you might think are everyday human experiences are actually psychic ones. So, if you're sitting there thinking, I don't have psychic abilities, I know I've never had a psychic experience, I think it's just that you don't know what to look out for. So, I think that's a great place to start.
Right, right. Okay. So very interesting stuff, Brandy. Loads of information, loads of nuggets to carry on, and I feel that spirituality definitely has um, some nuggets for all of us to, follow our path, follow our dreams, and really reach where we all are wanting to go. And thank you so much for your time today, for making us understand how intuitively we can guide ourselves towards that goal. Thank you
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Thank you
much.
so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.